The days are getting shorter and the nights are getting colder. I only have a little bit of time left to get my fall and winter garden going if I want to be able to harvest veggies this winter.
Life is a winding road.
As a busy working mom, the time that I have to work on my garden is extremely limited. I might have a few minutes here or there after work during the week to tackle garden maintenance, or an hour or two on the weekend in the early mornings when my little one is napping. With the sun rising later and setting earlier, it's making it even more challenging to finish the fall garden tasks that I've got on my list.
Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on.
I know that setting up my garden right now in the fall is going to be the key to success next year, so here are the things on my list. I want to clean out and transition each of my raised garden beds, plant garlic, start some seeds for winter veggies like carrots, snap peas, kale, collards, remove and store any of the trellis materials or things that I don't need right now in the garden, mow the lawn, rake up the leaves, and decide on if there's new places in the garden that I want to add more garden beds in 2025. Full transparency, I did not do all of this work in a single day. It took weeks. Although you will see me wear the same amazing plaid shirt for most of this video, it's new, I love it. I got it secondhand on Poshmark and I've worn it for pretty much every outdoor activity since it's been getting cooler weather in this fall. Okay, back to planting garlic.
You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down.
If you've not planted garlic before, here are some quick tips. You can grow garlic from a garlic bulb. You just break each of the cloves into separate sections, leave the paper on it because it helps to protect the garlic, and then you want to plant them about 6 inches apart in your garden bed. There are conflicting arguments on how deep you need to plant them. I was just pushing them down into the soil enough that they were fully covered, and then you can hill mulch on top of them to protect them from some of the winter cold.
Push them in. Right here. Put it right there. Point end up. Like that. Good job. Just like that. Push it down with the pointy end up. Beautiful. Okay, now tuck it in.
However, they do need that cold. That going through that cold period of winter, the freeze and thaw, is actually what allows the garlic to grow into a bulb and divide into the cloves that we know as garlic. Because I really don't want to deal with the mowing or raking leaves yet, because mowing is probably my least favorite garden task, let's tackle some cleanup of the remaining garden beds next. I'm clearing out the tomatoes because we're past our first frost date and there's really not many good quality tomatoes left. Plus the tomato plants are blocking light getting to any of the winter crops that I would be trying to grow below them. However, I'm not just throwing out the tomato plants as I'm chopping them down. I am breaking them into smaller pieces and putting them into my compost pile, which will help me to build soil for next year. One of the cool things about tomatoes is that they can ripen off the vine. So if I'm finding any tomatoes that look like they're starting to blush but they haven't yet turned red, I am saving those tomatoes and I'll put them in a bowl inside the house until they get fully ripe. And then I'm storing all of my ripe tomatoes in the freezer until I have time in my schedule to do some tomato canning projects. Now that the tomato plants are cleaned out, I can finally add some winter veggies. I started by adding just a little slow release all-purpose fertilizer because I know I had things growing in here all season and the soil probably needed some extra boost before it could grow more veggies for the winter time. I got these 2 kale plants at a local grocery store because I thought they were pretty. And I don't actually know if they're intended to be kale for food or if they're supposed to be just decorative, but I thought that with the marigolds they would look so pretty in this corner, and I would at least try the kale and see if it tastes good, and hopefully it does, because I didn't really have a chance to start kale plants in the summer. I know that you're supposed to start most of your winter veggies in seed trays inside in July or August. I did not have a chance to do that, so I thought, well, here are these kale starts. Maybe this can be my winter greens. Also throwing in some carrot seeds and a bunch of other winter veggies. The carrot seeds I'm using, also the seed garlic I planted, and a few of the other seeds I'm starting today are from Botanical Interests, which is a part of the Epic Gardening family or company. So if you are interested in planting some of these same seeds, I can link their shop down below. I do have a discount code with them, which will earn you an extra 5% off if you use my code and help support me in this channel. So appreciate that. If you're doing any shopping, I have heard word that they are in the middle of a Black Friday sale right now. It has started already and it will go until December 2nd. You can get up to 40% off on all of their great stuff, whether you need garden beds, seed trays, seed starting supplies, whatever you need to be ready for your garden season next year. Epic Gardening probably has it and has really great quality products. And if you use my code, you can get an extra 5% off top of the sale price. So I'll link that for you below if you happen to need any garden veggies or seed starting supplies. After cleaning out the garden beds, I'm feeling pretty tired and kind of just want to lie down. So I finish out this first day of garden cleanup by chaos gardening some seeds for kale, arugula, carrots, and snap peas. Over the next few weeks, life has taken its toll. Everyone in the house has been sick, and now it's getting to be almost the middle of November and it's cold, and with the shrinking daylight, I am really starting to get worried that I won't finish up everything on my backyard garden fall cleanup list. But there's only 2 beds left in the main garden to tackle, so we're gonna get this together today. Here I'm showing that our garlic that we planted last time we were out in the garden together has started to sprout. I've got the music garlic there. My tags have started to blow around, but that's okay. Some of the winter greens that we planted have started to sprout. I can see a cluster of what looks like kale seedlings popping up, as well as the beginnings of some carrots, so that's pretty exciting, and some of the snap peas that were planted along the edge. First project here, I just want to clean out this area. This corn really didn't do much of anything for me this season.
but it got very minimal care, so I was not expecting much. Okay, just chopping up some of the bigger bits as I'm putting them into my compost, mostly just to ensure that it will break down more evenly. Let's see. This bed looks pretty good, but I don't want to leave it bare. So, I'll have to decide what I want to do here. I'm not sure if I want to keep this here for next year and throw a cover crop on it to help build the soil, or if it would be a better use of my time to just dig up the soil, throw it in a pot, and start fresh with a raised bed. I feel more comfortable with raised bed gardening. I feel like I know it better. I just don't feel like I really have the skill set yet for in-ground gardening. I do feel like it is a whole other skill set because, yeah, just sort of working with the soil that's in most people's backyards, it's just not very good for growing, so it takes a lot of time and effort to really build the soil. This is something I'm trying to learn, but not something I've mastered yet. So I don't feel like anything I planted here was particularly successful. Yeah, I'm just going to have to decide what I want to do with this. But for now, we'll probably just hill it up with leaves or something. Yeah. Just put something over it so that the soil's not bare. Okay. I want to have any hope of doing any fall or winter gardening this year. I need to clear some space. This bed was my tomato bed and gave me, well, one of my tomato beds. This would have my cherry tomatoes in it and gave me lots and lots of cherry tomatoes, even despite critter invasions. But I'm pretty much done with it now. Even though it seems like there's a lot of ripe tomatoes on here, most of them are cracked because we've already had quite a few freeze thaws. So I'm not gonna spend any time trying to harvest off of these. We've got our fill of tomatoes for the season, and I'm ready to move on to fall and winter crops.
My headspace been weaker, it's been waiting for the right day. Like the right day ever comes, now it's Friday and nothing's changed. Mistakes that everyone is making, but I can't change. I'm stuck in reverse like an old Benz. Forgot to tap it up.
I have pretty limited time to work on this project today. And this might be the last day that I can even get outside for a few weeks. So it's really important for me to get things set up for my fall and winter garden. Like retiring these beautiful sun gold tomatoes, which are long past their prime at this point. Wow, feels crazy to be finally taking this out after spending so much time protecting and worrying about these plants.
Where things fall into place. So if you're down, I'll be down. Pack your bags, fill them up. We can go tonight, take a flight to a higher ground. How does that sound?
Okay, this is looking pretty good. Let me clean up some of these tomatoes that fell, just because it's not going to help us to have 8,000 tomatoes reseeded in this bed next year.
It's not strange to quit another job cause it was draining. To try a different road though it's been fading in your mind cause of time. Now I long for another day where things fall in.
So I've got a couple, I can't tell if this is cabbage or cauliflower, kale. I've got a couple starts that I put in the late summer. And a lot of those plants, things in the brassica family, they just really don't thrive in the summer. But they've started to put on some size now that the weather has cooled down. This bed looks pretty good now. You can see I've got my 2 lavenders over here, which are really pretty and beautiful. Long term, I'm not sure if they're going to stay here or if they're going to migrate to the front yard to be more landscaping plants. But I am toying with the idea of making a tea garden next year, so we shall see. Couple of brassicas that I have already planted here, and now I have some space opened up that I could add a couple more plants. So if I have the time, I may start some seeds for a couple more things to go in this area now that I have that space opened up. Let's see, do I need to thin any carrots? Carrots are looking pretty good. Just gonna let them go and size up. Here's a little baby one that I took out. That one can be a snack. One of the things that I'm trying to do with the compost is look for any really big, and this isn't a good example because I already cut this one, but look for any really big pieces because those aren't likely to break down really easily. So just kind of chopping them up wherever I find them. Over the season, I've just been mixing in no particular order or fashion greens and browns, so whatever yard waste I had, trimmings from the garden, things that I pulled, and then a lot of the fallen apples from the apple tree, whatever I didn't eat, and then mixing it with browns like wood chips, leaves, mostly wood chips early in the season. Now I'm going to start adding probably leaves once I'm done taking all the things that I think I want to take out of the garden. I'll just cover all of this in leaves and let it continue to compost over the winter. Hopefully, if I'm motivated, I will come out and stir it up a couple times to help with the decomposition. But this is the very basic composting that I've been doing so far. Now that the garden is looking pretty good, I'm going to get on to some of the less fun tasks like cleaning up and taking care of the very neglected lawn. I've got grass that's super tall right now, leaves everywhere. I am going to try and leave most of the leaves in place for wildlife because a lot of things like caterpillars for butterflies and moths and other insects will actually lay their eggs in piles of dried leaves. So the more that you can leave some piles of dried leaves in your yard, it is going to be better to benefit wildlife, which is why I've raked a good amount of leaves over to the back perimeter of my fence there, and I'm going to leave those as they are and allow that to be a space for wildlife. I'm hoping that in the future I can get some trees and shrubs to plant over in that area, but for now I need to do something with the grass. So that is our next order of business.
we are making excellent progress on our list. I have all of the garden beds in the main garden cleaned out and some winter veggies started. But unfortunately, that means that I now have to tackle the final cleanup tasks like putting away lawn furniture, mowing, and raking the leaves. The one task that I've been avoiding the most really is mowing. I don't find it particularly fun or rewarding, and I do feel like it's a bit of a task you do not because you want to, but because you want social acceptance. In America, or at least in the places where I've grown up, having a well-manicured, perfect lawn is one of those things that's like a symbol of how good of a person you are or how successful you are. And having a lawn, which is really just a monoculture crop that doesn't feed any animals or people, is not necessarily a benefit to our society, except in the sense that it makes people in suburbia feel good about their houses. So long term, I think my plan is actually to reduce the amount of lawn that I have and opt for more native living landscapes that benefit wildlife, or more permaculture food forest type of landscape in my backyard. Here I'm trimming up what was a grapevine. I had initially said that I really wanted to keep this grapevine because I thought it was cool to have grapes in the garden, and it was a native plant. But this grapevine was very aggressive this year, climbing not just my fence, but my neighbor's tree, and is spreading to other parts of the yard as well. And it's becoming a bit of a bully in the garden. And I know that some of my neighbors were not as happy about this grapevine. I also didn't see it produce any grapes. So I'm cutting it back. And as soon as I start to do it, I get really overwhelmed by the massive amount of biomass that is just coming down off of the fence, and realizing that I do not have enough time to finish this project today. So I do end up cutting it short and only taking down part of the grapevine today, and I'll have to decide later what I want to do with the rest of the grapevine.
Starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed. I think I am in over my head. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh yeah, let me just take down a part of this grapevine today. It was on my list of fall cleanup things, but it is not going to get done today. There's just not enough time. The sun is already starting to go down, and I don't want to leave a giant pile of sticks and brush because I just cleaned up a giant pile of sticks and brush from back here. And that was a huge effort that took months of cleaning up, breaking everything down, putting it into bags, and getting rid of it. So let's try and break down as much of this as I can, put it out for the city to pick up, and start back on this project today.
One of the best things about it getting colder in the fall is that I get to enjoy some of the other outdoor activities that I don't have as much time for in the heavy gardening season. I also love to do hiking, camping, and campfires are just one of the most fun things you can do in the fall to warm up and feel cozy. So I'm setting a little bit of a fire here to motivate myself to get this last bit of a task done before I lose the light.
Now that we have our fire going, let's get into our cozy fall vibes. Time for us to do some quick garden cleanup. Right now my plan is to move the majority of the garden furniture into the shed for the winter time. I'm going to rake the leaves up to the borders, especially this back border along this fence line here, so that I can create a garden back there next spring. Maybe this winter, if I'm able to get some shrubs or something in the ground before it starts snowing and the ground freezes over. But if not, we'll plant in the spring, and this will just be our time for preparing those beds. This is the section that I've already raked the leaves. You can see they're pushed back up. They come out maybe 3 feet from the fence. I think 3 to 4 feet is a decent sized bed along the fence line. This is the section that I still have to do.
As we are quickly losing the light, it seems like I will have to finish raking up the leaves in the yard another day. But thank you so much for watching and keeping me company along the way as I was doing all of these fall garden cleanup tasks. Let me know in the comments what tasks are on your fall cleanup list and what is holding you back from getting them done. Let's share some encouragement for each other in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like watching my sweet potato harvest or hear about the mishaps with my tomato sauce garden this year. I'll link those for you in the description to watch until my next upload. Also, if you're thinking about doing some fall planting, you might want to grab some seeds or garlic from Epic Gardening. I'll make sure they are linked in the description box as well. See you in the next one, friend. Bye-bye.